Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll continue our reading from verse number 8 from the book Vaisnava Ke. What kind of devotee are you? Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. तुम्हार प्रतिष्ठा शुक्रेर विष्ठा तार सह सम कभू न मानब मत्सरता वशे तुम्ही जड़ रसे माजेच्छा छाड़िया कीर्तन सौष्टव. Tomar, your pratishtha, fame, sukrera, pigs, vishtha, stool, tarisaha, with that, sama like, kabhu, na, never, manaba, I do not compare, matsarata, pride, vashe, under the control of, tumi, you, jada rase, in enjoying material sense pleasure, majecha, you are submerged, charya, giving up, kirtan, soshtava, excellence of chanting the Lord's name. My dear mind, your desire for cheap reputation can be compared to the stool of a hog. You are proud of being a Vaishnav, but your actual behavior is less than an ordinary civilized human being. Controlled by envy towards true Vaishnavs, you have secretly been relishing trying to squeeze out some temporary material happiness by gratifying your material desires. How do you remain so proud in spite of your hypocrisy after having abandoned the eternal nectar of the Hare Krishna Sankirtan movement? Now the mind has, this is the purport now, now the mind has left the association of devotees out of jealousy, thinking that some other devotees are getting more facilities and recognition. In this way, the mind is being envious and finding fault with devotees, although the mind's desire is in fact to enjoy material sense gratification. It must adjust to the contradiction that it has already entered into devotional service and surrendered to a spiritual master. In order to make this adjustment, the mind must find fault. This is wrong, that is wrong, to make excuses for leaving devotional service in association with devotees to practice solitary worship. This realization gives an external excuse for the mind to separate itself from the association of devotees, but actually entangles the devotee in offenses and covers pure devotional service with ignorance. Abhisandhaya yo himsam dambham matsaryam eva va samarambhi bhinna drigbhavam mai kuryat sa tamasaha. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist is considered to be in the mode of darkness. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verse 8. Therefore, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur chastises his mind. You nonsense mind, why are you wandering away? You want mundane importance, but what is the use of your temporary importance? It is not better than hog stool. I recall how once I went to a Christian mission near Mayapur. One Christian brother lived there and he showed me around the farm. His store included the prize pigs which he provided the pork for the bishop. He claimed that these pigs were cleaner than any other animal on the farm, including the cow. I asked, how can you say that pigs eat stool? But look at their pens, he said. They are perfectly clean. Whenever they pass stool, they go outside their cage. Other animals pass stool wherever they stand. This proves they are cleaner. Anyway, that was his theory. We, however, know pigs are dirty because they eat stool. Imagine how putrid the stool of pig is. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta compares the desire for material possession to pig stool, and when the mind is greedy for such a sense of importance, it is carried away by illusion. Even persons in the renounced order of sannyas become bewildered by the illusion of Maya. Therefore, everyone must be very careful on the path of self-realization. Yah swadeha smrito natma martyo vid krimi bhasmavat ta enam atmasat kritva shlagayanti here asattamaha. Sannyasis who first consider that the body is subject to death when it will be transformed into stool worms or ashes, but who again give importance to the body and glorify it as a self, are to be considered the greatest rascals. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, verse 37. The Bhagavad Gita advises us to train our minds by taking advantage of our human intelligence. The mind will go anywhere if we allow it, but controlling the mind becomes repeatedly bringing back to Krishna when we are safe. In chapter 10, text 9 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Mat chit mad gata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathyantash cha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. In his purpose, Srila Prabhupada explains, pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Lord. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing them with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish transcendental pleasure from the service itself, and in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of Godhead. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by Lord in his abode. The mind of the pure devotee cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. For the spontaneous devotee, the mind automatically goes to Krishna. In material life, our mind spontaneously goes to Maya. Therefore, we must use our intelligence to bring the mind back again and again to Krishna until enough of the contamination covering our consciousness is gone, and we can experience our natural taste for Krishna. Gradually, the mind will then become fixed on Krishna. When the consciousness is thus transcendently situated, one attains devotional service. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Even then, however, we must take care that the mind does not go out of control and dwell on material desires, such as desires to become prominent, to be worshipped, to have some position, or to cultivate envy towards other devotees, all very dangerous thoughts which isolate one from the society of devotees. One begins to see devotees as enemies and gradually withdraws from their association. The pure devotee sees everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. He sees no separateness. The devotee in the intermediate stage sees all the devotees as friends and Krishna as his eternal master. In a healthy spiritual mindset, the devotee delivers Krishna's mercy to the innocent, but this vision is lost when the mind becomes uncontrolled. Then one begins to resent the devotees. Hence, we are advised to train our minds. If we see our minds go wandering off, we must stop them. Where are you going? You nonsense mind. You come back here. What are you doing? Some people might ask, why is this person talking to himself? Has he gone mad? The mind is like a computer where all the experiences that we have had are stored in the subconscious part. Even impressions from previous lives, we should be aware of the subtle nature of the mind. We should see that the mind is going, where the mind is going, whether it is proceeding in the right or wrong direction. Then we must analyze its actions. Why you are thinking like this? Don't you know that by such thinking you are going to cause us both trouble? In Mana Shiksha, Prayers to the Mind, verse 4, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami advises the mind what to beware of. Asadvarta Vaishya Visarja Mati Sarvasva Harinehi Katha Mukti Vyagraya Nashrinu Kila Sarvatma Gilanihi Api Tyaktva Lakshmipati Ratim Ito Vyomana Nayanim Vraja Radha Krishna yu swarati manidau tvam bhaja manaha. Listening to mundane gossip and discussions that are not about Lord Krishna or for rendering devotional service to the Lord are very dangerous prostitutes in the realm of devotional service to the Lord. A devotee's most cherished possession is his attraction for hearing and chanting the glories of Lord Krishna. This prostitute, in the form of gossip and rumors, comes and distracts the mind of the devotee and robs the devotee of his attraction for rendering pure devotional service. The desire for liberation, as well as like a tiger, is capable of completely devouring the devotional service of even a pure devotee. Both of these dangerous elements, mundane talk and the desire for liberation, must be avoided at all cost. One should not even listen to discourses regarding liberation. Even attraction for listening about the glories of the Lord of Lakshmi Devi, Lord Narayan, should be kept at a distance. If the attachment and attraction for Lakshmi Narayan is stronger, one will ultimately take shelter in Vaikuntha and not be able to reside in Golok, Vrindavan, or Vrajadham. In Vraja, pure love and attachment is completely for Shri Radha Krishna. Pure love for Radha Krishna is the greatest treasure. Therefore, one should worship their lordships eternally in pure devotion without interruption. The great acharyas pray to the mind to induce it to realize the real spiritual priorities of life. In this way, one analyzes and trains the mind, because if the mind is untrained, its tendency will always be to think along material lines. Devotees train and purify the mind by chanting Hare Krishna and by constantly avoiding the aforementioned pitfalls. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur also prays to the Lord to help purify the mind as follows. Gopinath kemane hoiba gati prabala indriya boshi bhut mana nachare vishaya rati. Gopinath hridaya bosiya mora manake shamiya laho nij pane Guchipe Vipada Gora Gopinath Anath Dekhiya Tumi Dekhiya More Tumi Rishikesha Rishika Damiya Taro He Samshriti Gore. O Gopinath, how shall I make my advancement when my mind has come under the control of powerful senses and does not abandon its attachment to the materialism? O Gopinath, after sitting down in the core of my heart and subduing my mind, please take me to you. In this way, the horrible dangers of this world will disappear. O Gopinath, you are Rishikesh, the Lord of the senses. Seeing me so helpless, please control these senses and deliver me from the dark and perilous worldly existence. This is from Kalyan Kalpataru and Gopinath. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that when a devotee wakes up in the morning, he should beat his mind with a shoe 100 times. Since the mind tends to be very puffed up, it must be beaten up to keep in the proper humble state. In the evening, the mind should be beaten with broomstick another 100 times. The mind is like a wild animal captured from the jungle. It is never fully dependable. If the animal gets a chance, it will run off to the jungle again. Similarly, if the mind is not kept on tight right rope, it will wander off into the material engagement and inadvertently lose the jewel of Krishna consciousness. The systematic practice of devotional service is the practical means to increase our desire to serve and surrender to Krishna. A devotee must gradually rise above the mechanical practice of devotional service in the state where the devotion is unflinching. This steadiness comes from thinking, feeling, and willing to serve Krishna. One must have a strong desire to achieve complete perfection in love of Godhead, and when this devotion becomes re-established in the heart, all good qualities will take shelter of the devotee. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunesh tatra samastete suraha harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathan manorathenasati dhavato bahi. All the demigods and their exalted positions exalted qualities such as religions, knowledge, knowledge and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev. On the other hand, a person devoid of material has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev. On the other hand, a person devoid of Vasudev, on the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities, even if he is swept at the palace of mystic yoga, mystic yoga, or the hottest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives. He must have Right. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be more? He must be driven by his own mental speculations and even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, verse 12, chapter number 10. Even if a devotee finds that he is still filled with undesirable qualities and should not lose his heart, how can there be any good qualities? Yeah, we've done that. Even if a devotee finds that he is still filled with Even if a devotee finds that he is still filled with undesirable qualities, he should not lose concentrate. He should not lose heart. The process is gradual, and being able to do something is gradual, and being able to recognize one's defeat in a good atmosphere. This process is gradual, and being able to recognize one's defect is a good sign. One must continue afterwards. Continue sincerely rendering the devotional service according to the advice of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. So this brings us to the end of verse 8. We'll continue next time with verse 9. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.